Alright guys, so I pretty much did what I always do, and I was working on the car, filming a video. Basically I was going to do a whole rundown of what I was doing, and then I got too much in the mindset of working and just gave up on filming and just grinded out the work. So you'll see the car's on different wheels. It's on style 66s now, and behind those it actually has M5 brakes. So these are huge, they fit really well in the wheels. And I'll actually overlay some footage right now. All the calipers are genuine M5 OEM calipers. All the rotors are OEM M5 rotors. The pads, same Carbotucks in the front, OEM pads in the rear. And then I actually bought the fronts from an old track guy, so he had put the brass ECS bushings in them. I put brass ones in the rear. I'll go ahead and put that footage in right now. I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. What you'll see here is M5 calipers. Got them really cheap. These are the rears. Here, these are the fronts. You'll notice the fronts already have these ECS solid brass caliper slides in them. So that's what I'm going to be doing on the rears, because they also make them for the rears, and I just want to improve brake feel, so I'm going to go ahead and throw those in the back as well. So I have the new ones in the freezer right now. I actually finally ended up ordering them, so I'm going to be throwing those in the rears today. Alright, they make a tool you're supposed to buy to press these in, but I didn't want to pay for that, so I ended up just putting the brass bushings in the freezer, and honestly they press in pretty easily. Not all the way through yet, or never mind, they might just push all the way in by hand, just like that. So that's definitely going to be the move if you don't want to buy that tool, is just to throw these in the freezer, and they'll slide right in. And then of course when they heat up, the metal's going to expand again, and they'll go back to their normal size. But I don't know if you guys are seeing this right now. Literally just slides right in there. So there we go. There's our brass bushings pressed into both calipers. Now what I'm going to do is put the little snap rings on that comes with the kits. Here we have the locking rings for these. So these will just slip over. Not familiar with the style, but looks like they just pop over the ends of these and they slide down. Yeah, super easy. Wow, they just pop right on. So I'll go ahead and try and get a better angle of this here. You're going to want to get the ring, push it over the end of it, like that, and then you literally just slide it back over that and it pops right onto there. Just like that. And that's it. Done. That's not all for these though. You have these little rubber O-rings that actually go in the inside here. Let me see inside of there. There's a little lip inside. That's where those O-rings go. So these, I'm guessing can just pop in here. I might need to use the pick for this, but I'll try without it first. Yeah, well, there you go. So you just gotta kind of have to work them in. It's nothing too crazy though, so just work them around and then they'll pop right in. O-rings now installed in both calipers. Now the only thing you need to do after this is actually just going to be put the caliper slides on. So these are the same piece as the stock ones, just the 7mm slides here. They might be a little bit different in diameter maybe. They actually appear the exact same, so same pieces. They'll probably slide into each other. They just go in there like this. But with these, because of those O-rings, you're gonna want to use grease on those. So that's what I will do, is actually throw some grease on these, slide them in, and then I'll just bolt these into these. That way they're assembled like the front ones are, ready to be thrown on the car whenever I actually do end up installing these things. So you guys remember the last clip where I showed the flex in these? Now there's literally none. Like I'm trying to pry on them, but I can't. Now they do make cheaper versions of these, but the reason I went with the ECS ones is because they actually have some boots on them, so you don't really have to maintain them nearly as heavy as the other ones. So these are actually more suitable for a daily driver than some of the other options you have, because they come with the boots to cover the ends of these, similar to factory, which will literally just slide over there. I mean, they're a little hard to put on, but they should slide over top, just like so. And then they're pretty much sealed, so you're not really going to have any issues with these breaking or just getting worn out. Plus ECS has the lifetime warranty stuff, so definitely a good option if you do want to go through with this. So here we go, here's one completed caliper to match the fronts. And then I also filmed the process of putting in the rear pads, or the rear brake setup, and I just didn't do the front, really. First up, I'm going to start in the rear because you're supposed to bleed the system from rear to front, so I'm just going to do rear to front. I'm probably going to do rear calipers, front calipers, and then the ABS lines, or the little supply lines. But here is the rear. So this is not a direct plug and play because you have to cut the brake shield. If you got an M5 brake shield, you can put that on here, but I'm just going to cut mine. I did the same thing on my Z because my Z was not originally a Brembo car. So I just cut the lip off the shield here so that I could fit the bigger rotors, and it's the same thing I'm going to do on this car, and it's probably going to work out fine. It's the same brake screw. They bolt up, after that they bolt up literally exactly the same, and there shouldn't be an issue, but just for right now I'll do that. And then also, when you put the caliper on, you need to put the lines in the caliper before you attach them to the car, so I'm going to actually do that right now. Put the new lines in the M calipers, and then we'll go ahead and throw it on. We'll just set it by the car, that way whenever I do take this off, I can plug the line as quickly as possible to lose as little fluid as possible. Even though I'm going to fully replace it, you just want to avoid getting as much fluid or as much air into the system as you can. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Oh, nice. Actually gonna slide it off for me. OEM rear rotor. We'll go ahead and compare the sizes so you guys can see just how big of a difference they are. Stock rotor, M5 rotor. Pretty big difference. If you go and put them on top of each other, there you go. You can see that about a ½ inch on all sides. So it's about an inch bigger for the M5 rotor and far bigger pad surface. There's a few ways to go about taking off this outer lip, but I'm just gonna go with the angle grinder. You could use a Dremel or tin snips or angle grinder the same way I'm doing it. There's a whole bunch of different ways. Anything that cuts the sheet metal, you just want to cut it right around the edge here, or you could cut it just like flat through. You just want to make sure this won't contact the new rotor, because the new rotor will definitely hit that sliding it on. So go ahead and cut that off. Another thing I just realized, actually, the set screws are in different positions. So this is in the middle of the rotor, as you'll see on the original. It's in the middle, and on the M5 ones, they're right next to the lug. So you won't be able to use the set screws, but you don't really need them. Kind of just a thing that, again, is unnecessary. They're just to hold the rotor on while you assemble the car. If you have lug bolts, it'll be kind of annoying, but if you have a stud conversion like me, it's gonna make literally no difference because it'll just slide on. And then the torque of the rotor, or the wheel, will actually hold the rotor from twisting at all, so you shouldn't have any issues related to that. All right, it was not a pretty process, but here we have what I cut off of the brake shield. Don't throw that down there. It's not pretty, like I said, but it will get the job done. I'm gonna go ahead and file it, get rid of all the hard edges, and then probably just throw a coat of paint over it. That way it doesn't rust. And then I'll actually throw the rotor on, throw the caliper on, and then put a lug nut on it. And then I can actually I can attach the brake hose and drop fluid out of the thing for the first time. All right, like I said, does not have to be pretty. Here is our paint job. It's gonna dry, obviously. Right now it's just very half-assed thrown on there. Here's our rotor. The rears, at least on mine, they're not directional. The CSL rotors, if you get the CSL rotors from the E46 M3, those are directional, so you need to face the vanes like backwards, like that way. That's just the proper way to have them on. But these, since they're not directional, you can go on anyway. I'll just go ahead and try and slide it on right now, just to get it on there and show that they do clear our brake shield in the rear. No issues there. Does clear all around, and obviously, as you see, go right on. So I'll go ahead and throw the caliper on, and I want to see if that wheel will fit behind it. I think it will, because these aren't as big, but we will see. All right, so I'm definitely gonna spill some brake fluid, but I'm gonna go ahead and undo this. It's gonna be this bottom one right here. It's a 14 mil wrench. I have a pan ready just to catch it, and I'm gonna try and just swap over this and just get this started as soon as that one starts leaking off. That way I lose as little fluid as possible. I already have the rotor on and the bracket on and tightened, just because it's easier to tighten it like this. Then I'll go ahead and throw the M5 caliper actually onto the car, and then this side will be done. So M5 brakes do fit under these wheels in the rear. Quite a close fit in there. You can't see it, it's not going to focus, but about a 1/4 inch away from the wheel. They do fill it out nicely, which is cool. It's about how the front look. Ironically, those are bigger than the fronts, so you can see in there. But yeah, should look good behind these. Alright, big camera's charged again, so I'm going to go and update. I've done both rear sides, so both rear have the M5 brakes. They are huge, and they do fit behind the Style 42s. The fronts will not fit behind these. I've already tested them before, so that's why I need the 66s. I did bleed the rear just a bit. It's not fully bled, but I got most of the air out of it, just so that it'd be easier to bleed it after the fact. So now I'm going to go ahead and lift up the front, lift up the rear, get on all four, and then actually do the front brakes, which is pretty cool. I actually went together a lot easier than I thought. I really don't want to do the ABS lines in here, but I probably am going to end up doing them, because the system's already going to have little to no fluid in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do these. Hopefully I don't lose too much brake fluid, but we will see. And then hopefully I can bleed this out. If I can't, I can bring it to work and get it bled by one of my scanners there. But here, I do not have a scanner that'll bleed this system. So hopefully we can get that working. And if I can make a cool DIY attempt at it, so I can show people you can do it without a scanner. This is our front rotor difference. Not as big of a difference as the rear, but this is a 12.75, this is a 13.5 rotor. Then stand them up. These are a straight vane. I believe they're the same width, actually, same thickness. But these are a directional vane, so these will cool a lot better. And you need to put these on the right side, so this is actually the driver's side. You can tell because the arrows, basically these are like arrows, they will point to the rear, so that's the way it'll go on. And these set screws are the same location, but they're a different type of set screw. So I have, these are these kinds, so these actually fit in the M5 rotors. The stock 530 ones will not fit into these. Same deal with our front calipers. We're going to put the line in before the caliper goes on the car. Alright, so I've got the M5 rotors and calipers and pads on all around. So here you see me in the front. They're actually pretty bled out right now. I just used the little handheld vacuum bleeder thing from Lowe's, actually. This Craftsman thing right here. And I actually got them pretty bled out. I didn't really try to bleed them. I just wanted to get a good amount of air out of the calipers. Because I was planning on doing the ABS lines. Kind of contemplated it a bit. I think I'm ultimately going to end up doing them. Even though, like I said, I don't have a scanner. But what the scanner does is it just actuates the ABS system and actually makes the pump turn on. So theoretically, if I took the car to like a gravel road and just slammed on the brakes, locked up all the wheels, that pump would be circulating anyways, like normal operation. So that should actually bleed it out on its own. And like I said, if it doesn't, I'll just take it to work and get it done. But yeah, so I went ahead and grabbed a crow's foot 11 so I can actually get down into the side here, because you have to get the bottom fittings at the bottom there. No space unless the engine's out to actually get into those. So hopefully the crow's foot can do me well. And then I am going to place both these lines and then try and bleed it as best I can. I'm actually going to crack the bleeders up here because this is going to be a decent way to bleed out a lot of air. I'll just put a towel around it, crack the bleeder, and press the brakes like I'm pumping the brakes for the calipers. And after that is like as bled as I can get it, I'll rebleed the actual calipers and then go actuate the ABS system. And then hopefully should be good with good brakes on the car. But right now, they look sweet, and obviously the Style 66s do fit because they're officialized by BMW to fit as winter wheels for the M5s, so they do fit, and it's not an issue. Stainless lines are in there, everything's going good. So today, I'm going to do a couple things actually. I'm going to lift the car up, do an oil change because it's about due for one, and then if you guys pay attention to my update video, I had solid trans mounts in the car. But poly engine mounts. So the poly engine mounts are rev shift. It's their hardest durometer. I got both of them super cheap. Would I have gone this way? I'm not sure, but again, they were super cheap, so I went with them. And I finally got different mounts. So here's our trans mounts. They're just to match the engine. Hopefully they're not that bad. They're very hard, but they're not solid like is in it right now. So we'll see how that goes. And then I'm also going to rebleed the brake system again, just to make sure there's no air in it. The pedal feels the same as it did before, but it's not perfect like where I would want it to be. So I'm just going to bleed it out again, make sure everything's good. I've done all the stainless steel lines, front, rear, and the ones for the little ABS module that's like this long. So whole car is done with new lines and fluid. And surprisingly, the whole swap for the calipers didn't even use this whole bottle, which is pretty wild. I figured for a whole brake job it would take quite a bit, because that car actually took 2 full liters to do the Brembos and everything. Granted, I'm sure the Brembos hold more fluid, but this is a bigger car, so I was really expecting it to hold more, but it didn't. So yeah, I'm gonna go and lift it up, get the drain pen under it, start draining, and then probably take the wheels off and start bleeding the calipers as well.
That's hot.
I didn't expect it to be like water. Oh my god. Also, I forgot the temperature / level sensor in there. I have a new one because the one in here is actually cracked. So I'm gonna go grab that from the house, unless I have it in here actually. But I'm gonna grab that and we'll throw that in as well. Here's another part I was talking about. This is like the oil temperature sensor, I believe. I don't think it's for oil level, but it's definitely for temperature. And this, for some reason on mine, is cracked, like down the side of it. So I just went ahead and got a new one. And today I'll be redoing it because I'm already gonna have the oil drained. Finally.
You're the one who worked all day. I didn't do anything.
While I'm filling up the oil, I figured I'd address one of the things I forgot in the update. This car has Dynan coil packs. I got them at the junkyard for like $5 each. So went ahead and threw them in because my OEM ones are pretty old anyways. So if I had to buy them brand new, I'd probably just get OEM ones, but since these were so cheap, obviously I went ahead and bought them. Didn't really feel a difference, but it's just kind of cool to have that part in there. No one really knows about it, but it's just cool to me, the thought of having it in there. So car's pretty dirty right now, but I think that's going to conclude this video. I got the brakes on, like I said, did the engine or trans mounts, did an oil change, and standstill lines, the whole deal. So I'm pretty happy with the car. I really like it on the Style 66s. I don't like it on the 8 wides, but I'm gonna like it on the 9 wides that I have going on it real soon. Probably make a video just putting on the 9 wides, even though I'm not really gonna do anything except for repaint them. And then I'll just throw them on. I might not even make a video about it, but I'm still undecided on that. I will definitely make an update though. So here you see M5 brakes behind there. They're massive. They look a little small, like when you're right up next to it, but farther away, they fill out the whole wheel really well. Car's now on Nitto NT05s, which are like a pretty decent 200 tread wear tire. It feels better than on the Falcons than it was on before. Car feels really agile now. It's on softer springs as well. It's on 7K rear springs, 9K front springs, and it feels really solid. Like, I'm really digging the way this thing handles now. It actually handles really good, even with the full interior and the sub in it. So it's a little over curb weight, but it's really not much over curb weight, and it, like I said, it still handles great. Wheels are the same spec as the Style 42s, and the tires are the same size, so they have about the same fitment. You can see, it seems like these tires run a bit thin because they actually don't rub the rear. The Style 42s with the Falcons rub just a bit, but now they are real close, but not rubbing. They're looking pretty killer. I mean, like I said, really love these wheels on this car, especially with the right fitment. Most people don't really get good fitment with them. They just kind of run them stock ride height and everything, but if you get some spacers on there and make them actually like fit the car really well, then they are nice wheels. Very happy with the car. And the trans mounts helped out a lot too. Trans mounts are way softer. Obviously before they were solid, now they're a really hard pulley, so there's still a lot of vibration, but it's really not that bad. It's kind of like the vibration I like. I do like a bit of vibration just because it makes the car feel more connected. I'm probably going to end up changing out the Guibo real soon too, because I think the Guibo is going bad, and that's also what's causing some of the vibration I'm getting. It's because it's RPM based, and it's also kind of speed based, so I think I'm going to change that stuff out and just really refresh the car. Rear subframe still has stock bushings in it. I might end up putting poly bushings in the subframe just to get it to handle better too. I heard, well, just basic knowledge, but basically if the rear subframe is really loose and the rear end's moving around, it's going to make the steering of the car feel kind of weird, and it does feel a little weird at times, but it's not that bad. So I might look into doing that just because the diff bushing's already done, and most of the bushings are done inside the car except for rear suspension. Rear suspension hasn't been touched, so that's gonna probably be next on the board. But right now, car's looking great, handling great, driving great. It still makes good power though, even though I added a bunch of weight. I'll go ahead and put in the weight numbers right now so you guys can actually see it. For some reason, the front M5 calipers were lighter than the base 530 but the rotors obviously are heavier on these, and the rear, the rotors, and the calipers are heavier. I think the rear calipers in these stock are actually aluminum, but these are steel. I actually want to say these are the same rear brakes as the E46 M3s, like exactly, like same rotors, same calipers, same pads, same all that, because you can use the same pads on both and the same rotors, so I'm assuming the rear pads or the brakes are the same. And I'm pretty sure the rear of these cars have the same brake setup, like hole mounting wise and all that, as every other car. The front is the only different part. That's why you can't use like E46 M3 stuff or F80 stuff or like all the bolt-on kits. They don't really make any bolt-on kits for like a 135i caliper or any other Brembo kit. Only other Brembos you can use in this car are the E31 Brembos, but they're a ton of money and they still use a really small rotor, so it's kind of stupid to get them. Besides looks, I was really hoping to get those, but at the end of the day, I think the M5 brakes are just a better idea. Cheaper to run, cheaper to get, cheaper to put on the car, bigger, and just they're a better fit for it. So really happy. Like I said, next video, this thing's probably gonna be autocrossing it or just some other light button up stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in some other videos.